Okay, you asked what my view on deities in relation to vampirism. I'll put it like this. The Temple of the Vampire, which is part of, whose teachings are part of my beliefs, have a very complex metaphorical approach, if you will. And by that I mean, alright, the dragon they talk about is linked to your higher self, but it's also linked to the forces of darkness, and therefore it's also linked to Tiamat, which in the book Piercing the Darkness by Catherine Ramsden, one member says that they believe in Tiamat, the Sumerian vampire dragon goddess. So it could be symbolic, it could be a force, it could be your higher self, it may be a literal being, depending on the individual member of the Temple of Vampire. But their core teaching is that you are your own god. They also talk about the undead gods, and a lot of what they say can be taken as they're literal beings that have died and have continued to exist on the astral plane. But you could also look at the undead gods, according to their approach, as symbolic. Now, the Vampire Ritual book by Michel Belanger, on page 14, says, after the sharing of energy, most rituals open with a statement or charge that expresses the sacred identity of the group. Specific deities are rarely invoked. Even when they are specifically called upon, deities are still seen in terms of symbol and archetype rather than as objective real beings. If deities are called upon, they are almost always dark gods and goddesses with chthonic associations or associations with magic and forbidden wisdom. Some of the most common names are Lilith, Set, and Lucifer in his guise as Lightbringer. This symbolic approach to deity arises because most vampires see the real deity at work in ritual as the individual. Dark god, dark goddess is taken very literal in this system, and each individual reference is his or her own divine spark. Because of this, vampire ritual is less a drawing down and more drawing out. The power of the ceremony comes from invoking the deity within each person. Furthermore, she goes on page 158 to say, let's see, right. This is not to say that gods and goddesses have no place in vampire ritual. Once again, our community is vastly diverse, and each group, as well as each individual, often has their own innovative way of interpreting and doing things. To this end, consider the rituals in this book as guidelines, examples only. If you or your group has a particular affiliation with a god or goddess, even the whole pantheon, by all means work references of these into the rituals. Now, I'm going to put it like this. My personal perspective on deities is this. They're literal beings. They're not an archetype. They're not a symbol. But they use archetypes and symbols so that we can connect with them. The vampire current that I follow is not the causation of the main deity I follow. He is the causation of the current. The current of energy flows from him to me, which is generally different than, say, what Father Sebastian believes, is that the entity that he and his followers invoke, Elarath, is powered by the current generated from him and people who follow his teachings. So it's different. This is my interpretation, this is my view, that the deity I follow is the fountainhead, the wellspring, the originator, the progenitor of the current that I am linked to. And therefore the current that I am linked to, that comes directly from that deity, is not something that can be altered and changed by, my personal belief or the next person's belief, or somebody else believes a little something different about the deity I believe, even if they were following my beliefs, but they believe something slightly different as well, that's not going to alter that current. But so basically what I'm saying is that I believe deities are real. Do I now, let's get to be my own divinity, my own God. Do I believe that we are our own gods, that we are gods? Not entirely, not as the way the Temple of the Vampire would put it, not the way the Church of Satan would put it, not the way it was explained here. I believe instead that we are potential gods and goddesses, that we go through spiritual evolution, not just one lifetime, but multiple lifetimes. That is my particular view. This is my particular belief about it. Now, as to how you interact with deity, whether you want to worship them or you just want to work with them instead of worshiping them, it's totally up to you and said deity. If you want to give offerings and life force energy, but you're not worshiping them, you're working with them to reach your potential, is it when it comes to spiritual evolution, to become on the path of becoming, then that's between you and that deity. Now, if you want to worship that deity, like the Christians do, the Muslims do, Jews do, Wiccans do, heathens do, Greek and Roman pagans do, then that's, again, totally up to you, how you interact with a deity. It's up to you and said deity. But again, I believe deities, external deities, are literal. Does that mean I'm saying we do not have a divine spark in us? No, I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I do believe in literal external deities. I don't believe we created every deity out there. As Anton LaVey put it, he believed that we created all the deities out there. I believe some are self-existent. They've always been there. Some we create as egregores that grow into deities. Some were just like nature spirits that through continued contact with humans evolved spiritually themselves. And believe it or not, I do believe some deities out there are modern incarnations of older deities, but also that some deities out there that people believe in are totally modern deities that may be only 100 or less years old. Take, for instance, the outer gods of the Lovecraftian mythos, like Shub-Niggurath, Astaroth, Nyarlathotep, or how you pronounce his name. Now, a whole slew of them, or even the great old ones. I believe so many people thought about them, read about them, played games based on them, etc., practiced Wicca, witchcraft, paganism, ceremonial magic, calling it up on them, invoking them, to the point that they have become literal deities. They may not have the, the power flex of a traditional deity yet, because they're relatively new, but they have become real on the astral plane. So again, it all comes down to what your belief is, how you interact with and how you interact with said deities. I mean, if you want to worship Nyarlathotep, hey, go ahead. If you want to just work with him, to evolve yourself spiritually, hey, go ahead. Same way if you happen to be out there and you're worshiping Jesus or Yahweh or whoever, that's your thing. That personally ain't my thing, but if that's your thing, more power to you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to stand here and tell you not to, because it's your personal path, not mine. But again, my personal view is that external deity is real. That I am not a god, but a person with the potential for godhood. With that being said, rest in powers, my friend. Rest in powers for the day.